Okay, so we're going to call the meeting to order at 6:34 p.m. Again, apologies for the Zoom audio issues we're having with lacking the cord. As we just said, if folks at home want to turn on closed captioning, those have been enabled. So if you go to the toolbar at the bottom of your screen, there should be a button that'll say Show Captions or Enable Closed Captions. If you do that, you should be getting a text readout of the audio if you can't hear us. Other than that, I'll just ask folks in the room, try to project, use your stage voices in the hopes that the mic on that computer might actually pick up something. So apologies for the tech issue. The recording will have all the audio. So with that, we'll move on to review and make any changes to the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to be made to the agenda?
I have none.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of April 17th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of April 17th?
March.
I'm sorry, so there is a change to the agenda. March is the month that we were in. Jesus, I mean, it's Monday, right? Is there an approval of the March 17th regular meeting minutes?
Motion. Oh, yeah, motion approved.
So we've got a motion from Dan.
I'll second it.
We have a second from Mark. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of March 17th as written, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, and you have approved the minutes as written. Moving on to Public Works, first item is the working draft of the 2025 work plan. I've got a couple hard copies if you want them.
Sure, make this old lady get up.
So board members have a copy of this in front of them, and there is a copy posted to the website. And I will note that this is a working draft, but the idea behind this was to get something out to folks in the community so that they had an idea of at least kind of what projects were in the queue for this coming season. All of this is subject to external factors such as weather and the need for emergency repairs if and when they develop. But this is intended to kind of show a sequence of work that is planned through the spring, summer, and into the early fall. So it's not that long, so if there's no objection, we'll just walk right through it. Grading and chloride following mud season. This is going to be all roads, targeting completion of that by June 1st. Brush cutting and chipping is where they're going to move into next, with priority for those roads scheduled for ditch cleaning and maintenance, listed below. The target is to complete the brush cutting and chipping by June 1st for the priority roads, and then the additional work on other roads will get done over the summer as time allows. Signage replacement, after things thaw out, we do have some signs in town that do need replacing. The first kind of major project area we're going to work on is ditch cleaning and maintenance. This is on Hill West Road. The section that is being covered is from the blacktop to approximately number 708. Work will include, what's that?
708.
You know where Soren lives, Soren? So work will include changing 2 culverts within that section of road. And again, this isn't to say that there won't be ditch cleaning and maintenance beyond that on Hill West Road. Yeah. It's just that the priority is going to be to get the section that they're going to be doing the work on done first. Yeah. Or I'm sorry, brush cutting and chipping, and same with ditch cleaning and maintenance. So if a road is not listed here, it does not mean that we will not do it. It's more that it's not in the sequence in priority as listed. Following the work on Hill West Road, the next priority area is Route 58. This includes repairs to the blacktop to address the undermining of pavement in the approximate area of Reagan Road. Next up in the sequence, again, some of this is subject to change due to when things start with the contractor, but paving on Fuller Bridge Road, this has been something that's been in the works for a couple of years now. They're going to target that early summer, starting no later than July. Roadside mowing, this is all roads. The target is to complete roadside mowing on all roads by the 4th of July. The next focal area of work is going to be Amadon Road, ditch cleaning and maintenance. This work will include approximately 6 culverts getting replaced. It's also going to include not just ditch cleaning and maintenance, but some work to the gravel road bed, specifically on kind of central portions of the Emadon Loop. That work is supported by the Vermont Grants and Aid funding. So that's going to get us, towards the beginning of July. So there's a note in here that internally we're going to do kind of the end of the fiscal year budget status check to see what we're coming out of FY25 with as we head into FY26 and any changes to the work plan that might be incoming due to budget constraints or a surplus. Next up on the sequencing list is ditch cleaning and maintenance on Reagan Road. This work will possibly include 2 culvert replacements in the vicinity of number 2421. That, I believe, is right around where Jordan's sap tanks are.
Yeah, right in that area. Yeah.
Also included in here is just regular maintenance at the town garage. There's some work on the trucks that have to get done at some point. We also have some work that is required from our insurance company. One is the installation of an emergency eye wash station. Our insurance company is also requiring that we install a gate. The idea there is going to be that the gate would be shut when there's no one at the garage, so after hours. This is due to a liability concern around the sand pile. It also is going to address trash dumping that we're dealing with, but the big concern by the insurance company is that if someone's in there getting material, they have seen piles collapse on people before, and if it's after hours, there's no one around that's going to help pull them out. So that's a kind of internal garage-centric project. And then again, as follows here is additional ditch cleaning and maintenance as time and budget allows, additional culvert replacements as budget allows, and then getting into the fall, grading on all roads once more before winter. And the town road crew did ask that we let all community members that if they want free fill, please contact the town garage, because we're going to be generating a fair amount of it. Any questions on the work plan? And again, this isn't meant to be like it's not meant to be a document that can be looked at like if it's not here, it's off the table.
Yeah.
This is more to let folks know what the priority areas of work are, the general sequencing of how they're going to go. But again, other things can and will happen, but we're also at the whim of weather, emergency repairs, and all the other stuff that comes up. So I'm going to start. Any questions on the board? Okay. Since we're on it, any questions from visitors?
I don't know if I have questions, just some statements.
Yep.
I'm happy that we're finally getting a list of work, and I'm glad too, because I've been coming for a year hoping to get some work done on our road. But I know other roads have the same issues as far as ditching and things like that.
Yep.
Now, I know there are roads off of Hill West that were put in for camps or whatever that don't have culverts in their driveway ditches, and I also know there's issues there, and I don't know if that's a town, like I would have thought they would have had to get a permit to put a driveway in. I'm just looking at you.
Yeah.
But there's no culverts in some of those driveways, and I think there should be culverts, and I don't feel that should be a town expense. I think it should be the landowners, if they put the driveway
Well,
in
they're supposed to put the
without
first one in.
putting, a culvert in there, because the water has no place to go, and that's where some of the issues
Yeah.
coming from. Like,
Could you
I
give
know-
me like the numbers of which ones you're talking about? Or, well, just.
I
just
don't
send it
know
to
off
me.
the top of my
Doesn't-
head.
doesn't have to be
There's
tonight.
no numbers
No.
on the road, but I know there's one
Yeah.
like halfway up on the left. There's a camp up in there on the top, and there's no culvert there, and there's a lot of water that comes on the road. I believe it's
Right by Sorensen, or right before you get to Sorensen?
No, after my
in
mom's place.
Sturbridge. I think Peter Sturbridge owns a camp up there.
Oh, yeah, that one,
On the
okay. I
left.
think there's,
That's one of them.
I think there's some ledge in there, is some of the
I
problem.
think there's a ledge under the driveway,
Yeah,
so that they can't.
I think that's some of the problem on that one,
Yeah.
yeah.
And.
But that one could be ditched up higher better, or something, to get it from going into the road. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think there's another one too, and I also I know we talked about kind of like a schedule online so that we know where people, or where the road crew is working, and I went and looked and I was really excited. I saw something like, oh, they're gonna be on Hill West on April 2nd, and I go, well, maybe they're just a little behind, and then I realized it's 2021.
Yeah,
So,
We can try and do that, cause it will help us with grading too. We can say, okay, we're gonna be on this road today, grading, if you could, possibly
Avoid
not.
the road, yeah.
Avoid the road
So,
and stuff.
I mean, I don't know if you guys
That
have
would-
weekly meetings and just say,
That would-
these are the roads we're gonna work on, and just have somebody put a little blurb out. The town expects to be on this road,
That would-
so.
Yeah, we can certainly put out
Yeah, that
like a
would be
weekly
good.
project
So,
update.
avoid it if you can, because I feel like,
Yeah,
you know, when people are grading, like, some people just go up and down the road all the time. Even,
No, I think-
I know for a fact on our road, like, sometimes it seems like a lot of people are going up and down unnecessarily, like, make one trip if you can, or
No,
go
that-
West Hill instead.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, I'll talk to Scott,
Yeah.
about generating kind of like a, maybe every Friday afternoon we can check in, all right, what's the plan for next week, more detailed, and we can get like
Yeah.
a Monday update out.
Yeah.
Again, some of it's gonna depend on like weather, right, but,
I think it'll help us with the grading.
yeah,
And maybe before mowing, just go up and down the road once and make sure the big rocks are moved so that the grader, or the mower doesn't have to go over it and then leave a mess in one spot, cause it doesn't look good. You know, it'd be nice if it was a nice clean mow, but if there's a huge rock in the way, push it off so that you can just go up, maybe go up and down twice so it's a clean mow, cause sometimes it looks like it looks crappy.
yeah,
Some
Just to
pla-
make it look beautiful.
Some places we can mow almost in farther too. You
Yeah.
know, a little bit farther.
And I know there's a lot of trees and stuff that need to be mulched, and I assume
Yeah.
if you're going up, you're gonna notice them all.
yep,
Yeah,
That's all I have.
okay, yeah, Teresa.
58. I know that's the area you're gonna work on, but right below our house,
yeah, there's a place there too.
you
Yeah,
go down, the truck driver went down the other day. If he went off of that, he would've went right over into the house,
yeah.
because that's so deep down in there. So,
I'm kinda waiting for the pits to open up so we get the sure pack put in
Yeah.
there, which packs in better than gravel. And the pits aren't open yet, so we can't get
Leach
that.
is,
Something
Leach is
in
open
there.
now.
Leach is open
Okay.
today,
I don't know,
and
if it's
they-
got a sure pack.
they
Yeah,
got-
it was open Friday, I think.
Sure pack is like a,
I know what it is, where are you
Yeah.
putting it?
we're gonna put it on the edge of the road,
Oh, okay.
you know, cause that holds in better than gravel.
Say the road's
Yeah.
paved.
cause they got
Yeah.
16,
No, on the-
6
put that on
minus
the
on
edge.
sale right
Right.
now. He's got 400 yards he wants to get rid of for $13 a yard
Where's that?
at Leach's.
Oh,
Matt just put
That's
a thing
6
up.
inch.
That's 6
oh yeah,
inch.
we don't, yeah, we can't
But-
put that there.
You could line the ditch with it.
Yes.
But I mean, he's got 400 yards, he
He's
wants to
supposed
get
to
rid
be
of.
crushing some of that, I think. so.
Yeah, he just started today, so
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
As soon as we get some of that material, we'll-
I just want,
I need some in the driveway to change.
and across my road, the bank's really, it's going way down in that stream, it's kinda,
yeah.
but just take a look at it.
Yeah.
I walk it a lot,
So,
I'm done,
Okay.
I'm done.
I have
Sounds
one
good.
road thing, as long as we're talking about road things.
Yeah.
On your list, and I talked to Scott briefly, but I don't know if it got on there, we need to load at the Grange Hall, cover my leach field. By the handicap, we need some gravel on that, in that lot.
Oh, okay,
You've got 2 huge pits, and then you've got right on the right of the building, it's just, it needs to be filled in.
okay,
And if they do it early in the morning, there's no cars there.
yeah,
I go by at 4 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
there's one car not in the way, but
yeah,
we really need that filled in.
okay,
It's becoming a bender crusher
Yeah.
and a people tripper,
okay,
so, but I did talk to Scott about it. Just
okay,
put a little bug in his ear when he gets a minute.
okay, yeah.
Nah, just go down.
All right, well, we will get this, it is up on the website. We'll follow up on the kind of weekly update,
Yeah.
conversation with Scott. And then, this will be kind of a living document. We'll update it as we go. But this is to give an idea again of general sequencing, et cetera. So if there's nothing else on the FY25 work plan, we can keep moving down the agenda. Next up is just updates on the municipal wastewater project. So updates here, the easement packets are scheduled to go out to landowners Wednesday or Thursday of this week. That'll include all the information as well as the easement. We're shooting to have those returned by May 15th. That's dope. We'll see where we land with that. Second update, so the indirect discharge program, which issues us the state indirect discharge permit, which is essentially the permit for the 242 site. That program, in order to get the permit, has a number of requirements around things like where certain infrastructure can go, related to like setbacks. So for example, like there's a thing in here around, you know, a conveyance pipe has to be X feet away from a property line. One thing that we found really quickly with this project is that given the small lot sizes and the fact that we intentionally put infrastructure closer to lot lines to minimize the disruption and use of the rest of the property, we realized that like out of the 100 properties that we're looking at, the design for, by nature of just the small lot or design features, we would need a variance on like 65 to 70% of the lots. It was a kind of a hang up with IDR. We had a meeting with them last week where we talked through and found a pathway forward to address that. So the variance issue has been resolved. We're still waiting on like the formal signs healed and delivered. Everybody signs off on the plan. But once we have that, that will trigger the Water Investment Division WIND to finally sign off on the final plan set. So indirect discharge issues the permit, Water Investment Division signs off on the final plan set. When those two things come together, then the indirect discharge permit gets drafted and put out for public comment. There's a 30-day response window for that to receive public comment. During that 30-day window, there's some other hoops we still have to jump through with historic preservation, some wetland stuff, some stuff with V-Trans, stream alteration permit that has come up around kind of the crossing under the Trout River. So those are going to continue to get worked on. So those are kind of like the next steps. The big news here is the variance thing with IDR and the fact that once that's sealed, we can then get the indirect discharge permit out for comment, which we've been waiting on and waiting on and waiting on. At this point, all of this together is looking at the bids probably not going out until early June now. We hoped to get those out early May, but this is all pushed back things a month or so. But that's the plan now, is to get the bids out early June and get those back. So those are the updates on stuff going on with that project.
This is the copy of the letter.
Yeah, this is the copy, just for, I'm not gonna read it, it's long, but just so
Yeah.
board members have a copy, if you wanna read it in your own time, have any questions that come up.
Yeah.
But it's a copy of the letter that's going out with all the easements.
One quick point, it sounds like we're gonna enclose an easement form for them to fill out and notarize.
Yes,
Can we also include the W-9 tax form?
that will be included too. Yeah, and the one thing that we are trying to work out now is technically if the value of the easement is over $500, which in some cases it is, and that's what we're offering folks based on the valuation, that triggers a PTTR with the state, which is a property transfer tax return, because they treat it like the sale and transfer of real property. That would create like a pretty massive headache from a paperwork standpoint, but it would also mean that for anybody who's an out-of-state landowner, the state keeps 2% of the amount we're paying, essentially as I understand it, as like a hedge against them not paying it. It's kind of crazy, I don't understand all the ins and outs, but we are trying to work with the tax department now to get them to issue us a blanket, like that does not apply here, so we don't have to deal with PTTRs. That's where that is.
Yeah.
So, any questions from the board on any of the updates? If there's no objection, any questions from visitors on any of those
Is
updates?
that gonna be posted on the website,
Which?
what you just read?
The letter?
Yeah,
The letter?
yeah.
We can, yeah. I mean, everyone who's gonna be on the system will get one, but we can certainly post a copy of it. I'm just quickly scanning. Yeah, we can post the boilerplate one. We probably won't post, I mean, the letters are all gonna be kind of tweaked individually based on individual
How much they
conditions.
owe.
But, yeah, but we can post this on the website, yep. Any other questions on those updates?
You said the return goal was May 16th?
May 15th was what we're shooting for to get them back by. Yep. All right, if there's no other questions on those updates, we'll keep on moving. Next up is the streetscape project. So Here's one piece of good news. If folks remember, we were dealing with a wetlands issue at the rec center.
Yeah.
The state had basically said, no, the drainage ditch is not a wetland. The feds said, yes, the drainage ditch is a wetland. Well, we got word last week that the current administration has changed the definition of water of the United States. And so the Army Corps of Engineers called back yesterday and said essentially, hey guys, just kidding, it's not a wetland anymore.
Nothing is a wetland anymore.
It's because the water's in Canada, right? It's no longer.
So say what you will about the current administration, it's one thing that we don't have to deal with now
Do you
that's
have
gonna
that in
save us.
writing?
What's
Yeah,
that?
do you have that in
Do you
writing?
have it in writing?
They have it in an email.
Did Musk sign it?
I'm not aware of Musk signing it.
Oh, well, if he doesn't sign it, it's, that doesn't.
At the end of the day though, it is kind of a big deal because this could have meant that we
Yeah.
would be paying $40,000 to $70,000 in mitigation fees. So
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
quick question, since you're on this,
can I do two more updates first? So next update is we're currently in the process of getting the final concurrence on the plan set from our partners, V-Trans, Historical, etc. Once that's all set, we expect an updated cost estimate by the end of this month. And I am working with Bethany at Regional Planning to figure out kind of where do we go next to look for money. Right now, if folks remember, we have a TAP grant through the state, which is funding engineering and a small part of construction. And then we also have a $500,000 grant through the Northern Borders Regional Commission for construction. This will all cost much more than that, which we've been well aware of. There is a bike and ped grant that we've talked about applying for, but there was like a hold point where we couldn't apply for it until the final concurrence and the plans got done. So anyway, I'm working with Bethany on where to chase down more money for this, and hopefully we'll have an update on kind of where we're gonna look next for the board by the end of the month. So that's the update there. Questions on the streetscape project? Teresa, you have one?
what about the tariff, since you brought Trump up, what about the
Yeah.
tariff, how is that gonna affect any of this?
Yeah, so right now, we are moving forward under the understanding that like, it's not, with the acknowledgement that like everything is. You know, Pre-Camp Concrete and SD Ireland are the companies that we're looking to get to build the septic tanks. Those are based here. That being said, I don't know how much of any of their materials might come from somewhere else to build the company. So we're gonna know when the bids come back. Yeah,
Cause everybody's worried about the tariffs.
yeah. So to our knowledge, like none of like the big ticket. It's not like, oh my God, like the main part of this system that we designed is built in Canada.
Right.
So we'll have to see what comes in with the bids, but that's where we would find out there. Any other? Nope. Okay, well that's the streetscape update. General updates on public works. The only one I've got is in response to the email that we received around handicapped accessible parking. We do now have handicapped accessible signs up out here as well as at the Grange Hall. They're not at the Grange Hall?
There is one handicap sign that was jerry-rigged to a plastic post that's leaning up against the outside, but there's nothing.
Not the one on like the orange stick that we use for town meeting and stuff?
Yeah, that's the only one that's
They
there.
didn't put up one on the,
The only other sign that's up is the one for the electric car charger, which should come down.
yeah, but they didn't put up one there too? I thought-
Not that I've seen.
I'll have to go back and double check with
Yeah,
Scott.
and that's why we need the gravel there, because
Yeah.
there really is no handicap.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a handicap
Yeah.
mud
It's also a weird
lake.
lot for handicap anyway, and granted the car charger's coming out, so that's gonna make it a little cleaner.
I mean, we could put the space that I typically nose into by the building. I mean, honestly, that could get some gravel and be a handicap spot because it is opens to the driver's door and right to the
To the ramp.
ramp.
Yeah,
Unless the handicapped person was in the passenger seat, then you'd have to back into that space. So it doesn't really meet the criteria for being open on either side, but it could be designated as one.
Yeah.
And then we would have to do some work to make another space, like, I guess we could paint a square and put it like, I the front of the ramp.
Yeah. At this point, signage is gonna be the best bet, because painting squares is gonna be something we need to do after paving.
Right, but I
Um,
mean, if we started, I don't know,
Yeah.
we can take a look at it and,
Okay,
but I didn't see a permanent sign put up
I'll
anywhere.
double check with Scott.
Maybe there's, actually, no, now that I'm thinking about it, on the riverbank, maybe they did put
Jan-
one in
I
the
thought they
first
put one up
spot,
in the first spot.
but it's the first spot on pavement, so it's not, so
It's
you're,
not, yeah,
well, again, if you give me some gravel, you won't be getting out into the lake,
yeah,
so
okay.
it's definitely not,
Well, these
Wheelable.
anyway are more or less temporary, because
Okay.
we do have better signs on order that we will get up.
Yeah.
The next step out here is also gonna be sealing this lot, after which we can stripe it. And so when we stripe it,
Yeah.
we'll paint the spots for handicap. Right now, there's just the one sign that folks might have seen out here. The other thing related to this that gets to the Grange Hall lot, or the Town Hall lot, and this is like not a today problem, but it's one of those like, are you kidding me? If we go ahead and pave that lot, or when we go ahead and pave that lot, because the pavement would come up into the state highway right-of-way, we would need to get the sign-off of V-Trans to pave it. One of the things V-Trans will then say at that point is this a parking lot? And we will say, yes, it's a parking lot. And they will say, how do vehicles park in this lot? And as everybody knows, the vehicles park in that lot with a row right next to the road, a row behind it, and then a row at the back of the lot, meaning 3 rows, 2 rows of which are ass to nose. V-Trans will never allow a parking lot where somebody backs into the state highway.
Yeah.
Right.
So, it's something we're gonna have to figure out. There is potentially a way to do that where we pave up to the state right of way, and then don't pave the area from the state highway to the parking lot to the right of way. I don't know what that looks like.
Wasn't it already paved at one time, or?
the
I
parking
mean-
lot has pavement on it, but then herein lies, if you pave that parking lot, you're digging up the existing leach field.
Yeah,
So my feeling is let's just patch it with gravel until the streetscapes
Yeah.
is done, until the septic is in.
yeah,
I just need some gravel to fill in.
100%,
Yeah.
yes.
So there is no.
This is not something that needs to be handled today. It was
No,
more just
and
one
I would
of
say
those.
until all the other
Yeah.
projects
Yeah.
are done, just hit it with some nice fine pack, whatever you gotta do to protect my leach field that's
Yeah.
under there. And basically get the, just throw,
Get your level
just
up.
gravel that
There's
sucker.
Grange, there's, the leach field for the Grange is under the parking lot.
oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
But, and it has been for years, it was shared with the snowshoe, but now it's not, but at the old fire department.
yeah,
Well, actually, we found their straight pipe going right into the river, so apparently their toilet just went straight down. Thank God it's gone, now we don't have to worry about that.
yeah.
So, I mean, right now it needs serious, good patching.
Yep.
We'll call
Yes.
it, let's give it some good
Yeah.
patching
To
and,
start.
and don't do anything permanent that costs money until all the other projects are done.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah.
So if that's the case, then how can Sylvester's have people park like this if
Yeah,
they're
it's-
backing into?
It's one of those things where they say
They're
it's
probably grandfathered.
grandfathered, we're not gonna fuck
I
with
know
it.
with the post office, we're not allowed to back into the street. I know that, that's one of
Yeah.
our rules.
Now, we do in the village, I mean, you can't,
Yeah,
it's not a state highway.
it's one of those things where they've said, look, like, if it's an existing use and you're not changing anything, we're gonna turn a blind eye, but the moment you do something is when they then go,
Yeah.
okay, well, you've gotta, So anyway, not a today issue, but just wanted to flag that in the future, if folks are thinking about paving that lot, that's a challenge we're gonna have to surmount. And that brings us, any other general public works updates?
Yeah, I just, mud season so far is going well, and I think a lot of the frost is out, so now we're gonna start grading more of the roads.
Fabulous.
We had to wait for
Weather's
things to
lovely
kind of dry
this
out,
year.
Yeah.
I
first,
will-
and let the frost come out.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, knock on wood, that we're gonna get by with it easy this year. And
Yeah.
The Regan
So we
Road is the
could
best
spend-
I've ever seen it.
so instead of spending more money on stone and all that, we might be able to spend more money on ditching and culverts
Culvert,
later
yeah.
on, so,
It's-
and gravel to fix
I
up these
haven't had
areas.
to drive the Ranger once.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, so knock on wood, hopefully it keeps up this way, so, but now, we got snow coming tonight, I guess, more snow,
Yeah.
so. But, after that, hopefully things dry out, we can start grading more.
Yeah.
That's what the plan is. Yeah.
I will say a quick comment on the sugaring meeting we had. So the guys on North Hill all
Yeah.
switched to big trucks
Yeah,
to collect their sap, and what a difference.
well,
It's just they've got dual wheels and they're going really slow, and it's the load is evened out, so it's not really digging in.
Yeah.
These guys are doing a great job. They've been up and
Good.
down North Hill constantly, and it's fabulous up there.
I think it's.
We have no mud. I mean, it is like one little. It's literally better than it's ever been.
But it's been,
With all the
it's
activity.
been going out, it's been going out slow this year, and then
Super
it's been
nice.
freezing in the morning, so a lot of them
Yeah.
try to get their sap
Yeah.
out in the mornings and
Yeah.
it's frozen, so.
Just these big trucks
Yeah.
are making a difference, because when they have the little
Yeah.
pickups with all the weight
Oh,
just
yeah.
piled on the back, so
Yeah,
two of the guys up there switched to these big old,
yeah,
you know, but they're
I
all
only
good.
got 80% rain tomorrow.
So
okay.
not gonna do anything.
Well, I heard 4 to 8 on my way out of the
Yeah.
house tonight.
Yes, me too.
I know in New York they woke up
JP
with
said
a,
8 inches.
with like 2
Yeah,
inches
he
of
did.
snow.
Gotta
Well,
go to work in the morning.
fingers crossed it comes and goes quick.
Yes,
Yeah.
this time of year.
A foot.
Any other general updates on Public Works?
We got the-
All right, if there's no other Public Works updates, we're gonna go into visitors on the agenda. So we'll start in the room. Anybody in the room have anything else for visitors?
Actually, no, I don't have anything.
I covered it.
Okay. So now we're gonna go to the Zoom for visitors. I'm gonna go in the order I saw folks get here. So Larry, anything for visitors?
He's talking.
You gotta unmute, Larry. Yep.
Can't hear you.
You're still muted, Larry.
See so much.
There you go.
Hitting the wrong thing all that time. I've been spent too much time in South Carolina. Who's responsible for letting somebody know that the 1% sales tax on stuff, some of the stuff has been eliminated?
We are, and we've let the state know. All the state needs to do is flip the switch on their end.
Well, the switch hasn't been flipped.
Yeah.
As of yesterday and today, both one on a Amazon order, we had to pay the 1%, and today at the local mechanics, we had to pay 1%.
Yeah,
So even, you know.
I asked Aaron about that the week before last to make sure we'd done everything on our end, and we've submitted everything. I'll ask Aaron again tomorrow who to follow up with, but yeah, it's getting the state to do it on their end.
Maybe we gotta let some of the local people that are still charging 1% know ahead of time without waiting for the state.
Yeah, I don't know enough about how that works as far as how it's applied, where, and what the local merchant can change versus what's like embedded.
Well, it's been a month since that decision was made. It seems though that should have been enacted by now.
Yeah, no, agreed. Again, it's a case of the state getting their ducks in a row, but I'll follow up with the tax department tomorrow, Larry, to just rattle their cage again.
Another one of my questions was, did we order a new truck?
Yes,
Did we get competitive quotes from others just to cover our backside?
yes, we did.
Did you get those in writing?
Yes,
All I would do is I would attach something with those quotes, why you chose the way you did, okay?
okay.
All right,
Yeah.
that's just a cover up.
Yep,
The other thing is, have we had any progress with delinquent taxes?
I know that the collector of delinquent taxes has been working on kind of stuff. I don't know exactly what that is, but I will make a note to check in with her tomorrow.
I just wondered because I know it was very high way back before town meeting. And, you had made some efforts moving forward there.
Yep, I will ask her what's up so I can bring back a report.
And I had something else, but I didn't write it down, so I guess I'll just drink my beer. So,
I think
evening.
I think your other thing was going to be patting Alex Ovechkin on the back for breaking Wayne Gretzky's record, right?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, well, I'm really happy with how well the Bruins are doing too.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Larry. Next up on the Zoom, going in the order that folks joined, at least the way I saw, Bob. Okay, if you have anything for visitors, you're welcome to come off mute. If not, I'll take the thumbs up as you're all good.
Do we know who that is?
Okay.
For records, can we get Bob's last name?
Bob, just for the minutes, can we get your last name?
It's Bob Neris.
Did you get that?
Neris?
Was that Neres with an N?
N-E-R-U-S.
Bob, N-E-R-U-S.
N-E-R-U-S.
Thanks, Bob.
Great,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Bob. Merle, I think you were the next one to join on visitors. Do you have anything for visitors this evening?
Yeah, that's Mark. You know, on most of the roads where potholes occur all the time, some of the roads are great all the time, and after every grading, there are certain areas of the road where potholes keep coming up. Have you given any thought to taking care of them? It's not hard.
Well, I think some of those areas we have to grade deeper to try to get below the potholes. I was thinking of maybe trying to put some of that sure pack into the real bad spots. You know, that might pack in better. We were gonna try some of that. Just in those areas, because there isn't that many areas, so we were gonna try that, but I think just grading a little bit deeper in some of those areas and trying to improve them, because it seems to be the same areas all the time. So I think we're gonna try that first.
One of the keys, yes, if you don't get to the bottom of the pothole,
Yeah,
it comes right back, but I think some of those areas.
there's more. Sometimes roads have to be dug up for a foot and a half. Actually dug up and then repacked.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And Dan, I just want, what do you think about the curbs in the center?
That's for you.
The curbs in the center.
What do you think about that?
I think in the wintertime it does get tricky navigating with kids.
What?
Tricky navigate, what's that got to do with roadside curbs?
When you got strollers, when you have strollers in the wintertime, it's difficult to navigate Main Street.
Curbs will improve that.
Cute, that's real cute. Yeah, do you have any previous experience, Dan, on any boards or committees?
I've been on the library board for the town for the last 2 years, and I'm on a pair of other nonprofits.
Okay, thanks.
Charlie, I wonder, Peter Lockyer has done such a great job on the planning commission. I wondered why you wanted somebody else why you wanted to replace him.
I thought the individual I nominated had a really deep background in land use law, and that has always come up as something that's been valuable with my experience in the Planning Commission. And I thought her background would serve the Planning Commission really well as they finalize the municipal zoning and they also look at the short-term rental ordinance.
Yeah, isn't Barry on the, no, Barry's no longer on the planning commission, is he?
Yeah, we used to rely on Barry when it came to what's that statute or how does that work? So having somebody on the Planning Commission that has a legal background, I always found to be incredibly valuable for that work.
Well, I thought it was really, really too bad. Peter's done such a good job on the board, and I think there might be some extenuating circumstances why you want to replace Peter, but
No proof of it. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Merle. And yeah, I think, you know, anybody who wants to serve on a municipal board deserves our thanks. So, you know,
Yeah.
thank you to Peter and to everyone who's served on boards. Amy, you're next up on the Zoom.
Good evening. I'm following up on the 686 building permit.
Yeah, so I've got some information to share. I'm still waiting on one more piece of information. One thing, so this came from the chair of the DRB, and I did connect to chat about this so I could get a better understanding of what's going on. One question that I haven't had a chance to get clarity on from Ellen was around the 15-day period. There seems to be some confusion as to whether the appeal was filed within the 15-day period, or it sounds like the hearing was not held within 15 days, but there seems to be...
Well, the appeal was filed June 27th.
So the actual, the filing of the appeal was submitted and stamped as received on June 27th?
That they sent the property owner sent a email to Liz on June 27th. And said they wanted to appeal it and asked what their next step was, and then she explained it.
Okay, so...
And then nothing was ever done until October.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, something's just, and that lot had issues before, Charlie. I came to a select board meeting July of 13th, 2023.
Yep. Yeah, so the additional information that I was able to glean was that the zoning administrator initially denied the building permit because she thought it had been illegally subdivided when the first permit was granted. They were also asking for a setback variance on one of the side boundaries, and the ZA cannot grant a setback variance. Apparently, it was then discovered that the building lot was a grandfathered lot with its own deed. The town has always taxed it as a building lot with water, septic, power, driveway, and a mobile home. Prior to all of this, the mobile home was removed, but the subject property tax ID...
For 2 years.
Yep, but the subject property tax ID was still running with it. And because of that, it seems like there is some confusion as a result of the deeds. The land adjoining the grandfather lot was in the same life estate. This life estate was created before the grandfather lot was purchased by the same owners of the life estate. The lot in question went up for tax sale with the owners of the life estate purchasing it. This lot itself, though, was never put in the life estate, therefore it was a separate parcel, and they never actually became contiguous. So
That's right.
yeah, so I think
Right.
based on what I'm getting back is that the main issues were the grandfather status of the lot still applied, I guess is the moral of that story as I understand it.
Well, if it's not used for more than a year, it's no longer a conforming lot. And the septic on that lot is no good. And one of the standards for it to be approved is it has to have working septic and working water.
Okay, I will follow up on those 2 points and see what I can come back with.
All right, because I need to know which way I need to go.
Okay.
You know, it's just not right. You know, these new town plans, they encourage all the zoning laws to be equal across the board.
Yep. Yeah, so I will keep chasing that down, and I will try to get with. I haven't had a chance to talk directly to Ellen. My communication so far has been with Parma as chair of the DRB,
Yeah.
But I will try to talk to Ellen this week directly, and I will try to get back with more information.
And I did submit, you know, like I said before, quite a bit of evidence before they even put their building permit in. I submitted it to Alan.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'll
right,
try to chase down some more info on this, Amy, and we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. If that brings us through visitors, we'll go to old business. So first item up here is the hazard mitigation plan that we're working on. Just a quick update there. One is around funding. This doesn't, I don't think this impacts us, but the current administration pulled all funding for the Building Resilient Infrastructure for Communities program, which is BRIC. What that means now is any new applications for funding to that program are not going to get funded. Our project, though, is tagged to an existing allocation of funds to the state. So in talking with Sean today, our funding still seems to be intact, but the program that this is associated with, there's things going on there. So we need to just keep an eye on this. As of now, nothing changes, but it's one of those, nothing's changing today, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. He is working with Catherine at Regional Planning to potentially come up with a framework where we might be able to spend down and close this out prior to actually finishing the work, if that makes sense. Basically, it's so we can get the money out the door and get reimbursed before anybody comes back and takes more money off the table. We'll kind of see how that rolls. Catherine's the one looking into that process, so we should know more about what that looks like and how that works with current law, regulation, everything else. Today, the planning team met to review existing policies, plans, and personnel, so that part is done. So the next meeting of the planning group is going to be not next Monday, but the following Monday prior to the regularly scheduled select board meeting. That's just the update there, so we continue to work on that plan. Next up, if there's something else on hazard mitigation plan. Next up is town hall committee building repairs. So Tosca, do you have estimates and stuff?
Oh, have I got fabulous estimates. So we're gonna skip the estimates and move right on to the subject at hand. Luckily it was me that got locked in the elevator Friday for an hour and a half. Because the elevator people showed up on Thursday, turned off the power, didn't put up any signs, didn't put up anything that said, this elevator now doesn't work anymore. So I just, for the first time ever, said I gotta go get some tables. I jumped, it was on the middle level, I opened the door, I went in, I left my jacket with the key to the door in it downstairs. And the door opened, the light went on, I went in, the door shut, I pushed the button, I could tell right away something's not right because the button goes, it makes a noise when there's power to it. Anyway, turned around to get out, door locked, excuse my French. I then tried to MacGyver with a stick I found and a key hook, and I jammed in there because I had another key, but it was on the lower level on the inside door because I know there's a problem with that latch on the bottom lock. So I have a jerry-rig, so the key's there so you can pull it shut so it operates. Anyway, that I did manage to hook the key with my keychain rig MacGyver thing, and I wiggled and and then my little jerry-rig thing fell apart, and I just had a stick and no phone and no keys, and just started channeling Edith Green, going, Tiffany, please bring the juicer for the rummage sale now, not tomorrow morning.
So did Tiffany end up?
She ended up showing up, but I was in there for an hour and a half.
Wow.
Lesson learned. Was really scary. There was no way out. Literally, I
Don't go
was
anywhere without
bull
the phone.
kicking, and I never go in that elevator without the key because I just don't. Anyway, so that precipitated a call to Chad, the elevator guy. I was kind. I said, listen, when you out of order something, he said, well, I talked to some lady in the basement. I'm like, what lady? Like, oh, she was just rummaging around. I'm like, so you talked to some lady in the basement and told her you turned the elevator off. Great. Nobody emailed me. Anyway, that being said, Chad, we talked for quite a while. Both the latches, the lock mechanisms, and the striker plates need to be replaced. And that does not surprise me. But I have constantly said, come on, this is a mechanical machine. It can be fixed. Maintenance, come on, let's fix it. So, long story short, the fix on the elevator will be about $3,000. He is going to send an email confirming that tomorrow.
Yep.
But the sooner we get the ball rolling, if I can email him and say we are going to repair this,
Yeah.
this will give us, it will buy us a year. He will refuse. If it's still working fabulously next year when he comes and he has no reason not to pass it, so he sends the report to the state that says pass or fail. So that's the mechanism that happens here. So for $3,000, and because the striker plates are made in China, he would like to order them really, really, really quickly.
Yeah.
He says he can get them within a week, and 2 weeks it'll be fixed.
Yep.
Because of the food pantry now being there, Heartful Kitchen is going to go after the money to replace the entire unit, which at today's prices would be about $60,000. That would include making the doorways larger, but Grandpa, the shaft can stay the same size, so we don't, instead of a $250,000 situation where we have to increase the size of it can stay the same, except the doorways will have to be enlarged. So his estimate right now, a brand new unit is 45 and then an additional 15 for refitting the doors and labor and associated with that. So we're looking at a $60,000 replacement if next year he shows up and says, nah, no good, even though the locks, replacing these locks, I've used it for the last year. And with the exception, I know that there's some issues with the locks. But what was happening that I wasn't really aware of, apparently, is when you're in the elevator and you're going from the lower level to the mid-level, the upstairs door lock becomes disengaged. So that could actually be opened at some point during its use. So if a kid was on the main floor, they could open that door and like fall in. So it is more dangerous than I knew because I wasn't, you're not aware if you're in it that is a thing. So that's the main reason he shut it down. It's like the locks, as soon as those locks become ineffective, you have a real safety issue. So that being said, I would love you guys to make a motion to let me get him started on ordering those parts without having to wait for the email. He's copying everybody on it, but it has to be fixed. Heartful Kitchen has the best chance of getting a grant because we actually use that elevator to transport people down to the basement. And I think as the nonprofit food shelf thing, I'm going to start right with Community Bank. They just gave us $750 and indicated that they have a bigger pool of money to support food insecurity. That's their mission this year.
Awesome.
So the manager in Enosburg said, look, we have a bigger pool. I want you to, what do you need?
Awesome.
So I was going to go directly there as a first step, which I think could maybe be a significant piece. He was saying, between 25 and 50 grand they're handing out. So we are going to actively pursue getting the funding to replace the whole unit.
Okay.
But in the meantime, the $3,000 needs to be had. The other estimates I have, between the railing, on Wednesday's meeting, we're going to decide which bids to take based on when they could do the work, time, whatever, and then I'll get back to you at the next meeting or an email that you can put on your next meeting with copies of the estimates that we've chosen, if that's all right. I'll send them all.
Yeah.
But we're just going to go by basically lowest price, most convenient, but we do have one more coming in for the railings, but it looks like it's gonna come in at about 15 grand.
Okay, great.
So do you just make a motion for the elevator, the 3,000?
The elevator, he said between 2 and 3 grand, and I said I would ask for 3, up to 3, just to cover it. If it's less, if it's more, I mean, the town hall fund has money in it, so to be honest, this money could come from the town hall.
It could, or the building capital improvement fund would be the other place to go.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, right, this is a safety issue.
Indeed.
Indeed, yeah. Just put a pin in it's a safety issue. It's
And
not
it-
like this needs to
Yeah.
happen because you can't have doors opening and kids falling or
Right.
people getting stuck.
Yeah,
in there.
everything that we're asking for in the next little bit is safety.
Yep.
It's your fire exits, both of them, and the front railing, which is now both sides
Yeah,
wonky, and that's out of code,
Yep.
so it has to,
yeah.
yeah. And the more we go after grant money, ADA accessibility and food insecurity are the two big ones right now, and I
Yep.
think we should have no problem finding money for this elevator.
Okay.
So I will make a motion, up to $3,000 for repairs to the elevator coming out of the building capital improvement fund.
Okay. So we've got a motion from Mark to authorize the expenditure of up to $3,000 for elevator repairs out of the building capital improvement fund. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. We got a second from Leanne. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? All right. And I guess we gotta get you and Johnny Betts t-shirts that say, I got stuck in the Montgomery elevator and all I got was this stupid t-shirt.
I was just hunkering down. I was looking at the space between the top of the downstairs door and the floor I was sitting on and
Well,
looking at my boobs going, I could mule kick this bottom door open if I tried for like an hour, but will I fit through this little slice? And here I go, head first, butt front, like
You come in, then you're stuck in.
the thoughts that go through your mind,
Yeah.
like can I
There's
break
no
this thing?
button where you.
Don't get me started.
There's no music in the
There's
elevator?
nothing. There's me singing
Only in
to
our head.
Tiffany. I was like, Tiffany!
All right,
Ta-
great.
Tosca, I did have a quick question. The car chargers that are coming out, those electric car chargers, do you know when they're coming out?
They're coming out whenever you guys want to move them. I mean, they could be moved up here.
Was there any thought to leaving them in and then using them, like having people pay to use it towards
Well,
the
right-
town or anything like that?
So, David, right now the power box, which
Oh,
can be
yeah.
reinstalled,
Oh.
like the power was cut there, and that box was used to put the heat pumps in, so we
Mhm.
didn't have to pay.
Sure.
But there's no issue. It's moving them from where they are. They're in it's in the worst spot.
Yeah.
Like if you were to put that in the back row, somewhere where two cars can get on either side of it, I don't see a problem. Where it is now, there is no handicap. When you get two cars cockamamie and how are they fit, I don't have a problem honestly. If you wanted to move it to where that little spot maybe could work.
Electrical issue?
It isn't now, so the building can support it if it's rerouted and put in, given its own box in the building. It was how things were supported in there, but it's also in the worst possible spot. It can't, it causes confusion and mayhem.
Yeah, I think I'm just coming late to the game. I know that we had funding for a year or two of like it was taken care of, and with that going away, I didn't know if that was why it was pulled.
I think it's also the expense of upgrading it to it being able to charge. So we had Mike's Electric, and he has a bunch of those at his properties. And he said to upgrade that one to become a charging station where you pay for it would cost as much as a new one.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. And he did want to buy it. And he was willing to give us $2,000 for it. So, but I think you could just relocate it. I mean, why not have one up here?
Well, I think the plan eventually is to
Yeah.
get 2 charging stations in the new lot
Right.
on Main Street that we're putting in.
Yeah.
So that one in that track would just disappear. I'd have to look at the grant conditions about what we can do with it, because the charger was funded through a grant.
Right.
So I don't know if we can just
I
kind
think
of,
it was only 3 years though. It was like.
I'd have to go back and find the documentation.
No, it was at the time it was blowing fuses in the
Yeah.
Grange, but that was the nature of how that fuse box was set up.
Yeah.
So now that the power's been reconfigured in there, there's plenty of power. I would like to see it if we could. I mean, we could relocate it if we can figure out, like, I don't know how much we want to do structurally in and around that parking lot with everything else going on. Like, I feel like it would be better to take that and keep it free and bring it up here. Like, so that we can at least say, yes, there's a free charging station at the the public safety building where there's much more space. I don't know if you can locate it somewhere, I don't know.
I think there was an issue with not V-Trans, Vermont Electric. They had to upgrade the transformer or something there because they didn't realize it was even in there.
No,
And-
so that's,
And they were working on
that's
the
what,
pole. and
that's
were
what
like,
they told us, but
Yeah.
that wasn't true.
No,
So once you got an electrician in there to actually see what was going on, that was Mike's takeaway. He put in 6 4-pack 20 amp plugs in that storage room. I had 7
Yeah.
crock pots plugged in at one time and nothing blew.
Yeah.
It was how the power was
Oh, okay.
distributed once it got into the building. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate breaker boxes in that building. Some of them were not going anywhere, so he moved power,
Okay.
he redistributed where it was, and I did ask him, I said, can we re-hook up that charging station? He said, theoretically, yes, but it needs to have its own box
Yeah.
on the outside. And the box on the outside is the same box like we have for it's a emergency shut-off box. It's not necessarily what powered it. The power went into the main box, and there's still room if we wanted to hook it up. But the problem was where it was located, and it was not, it blocked access to the back of the building when you get 2 cars in there that aren't parked, they park sideways, they park,
yeah.
again, there's no direction, but I have no problem with having it be in that building somewhere, somehow, someplace.
Oh.
I thought there was an issue with somebody using it too much, or.
Well, there was,
Yeah.
people were taking advantage of it being free, that
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
lived
it
up the
shouldn't be
road.
free.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we
Yeah.
can look at, I don't have time, but if somebody wanted to explore what it would cost to retrofit it,
It shouldn't be free, cause
It
the
should be free
taxpayers
if the
pay for it.
taxpayers pay for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, so just to be clear, like the free nature of it, that was part of the grant.
Yeah.
That was 1 year, right?
It was 3 years, I think.
and I have to be honest,
Oh, 3 years that they're paying the electricity bill, the state is paying the electricity bill?
no, the town hall
does.
committee
It
was,
was
the
a
town,
free machine, and then we had done 1 or 2 years of kind of like, how much is this actually?
it costs
Charges.
$1,200 a year. So
I don't think it,
the 2
For
years
Garnet, I don't
after,
think
well,
it costs
when you
that
looked
much.
at the electric bill for the Grange Hall, that was our estimate. So the electric bill for the Grange, when it wasn't being used, COVID years,
okay,
it was like $1,600 a year. And the only power was that charger, except for like, not much.
the heat and
What
stuff.
about the furnace?
So,
Mm-mm. Those are all,
Okay,
I mean,
well, either way, it's not working.
Yeah.
maybe it was a
If you wanna look
fraction.
into what it would cost to retrofit that kind of a unit, we can certainly look at it.
What, a paid model? Users pay for it?
That's what I mean, like
Yeah.
retrofit it.
Yeah, because I don't think we should pay for people to charge their cars.
Yeah.
No.
Nobody pays for my fuel.
Yeah, no, I understand that, yeah.
So, but I did see a lot of people, I have to say, in the last year, there's a lot of people that use it, that parked their car and went to Bernie's and
Yeah.
did what it was meant to do.
That was the idea.
So it wasn't all, I would say 75% of the time, people using it were spending money in town, here for small, short periods, and then there were guys that were using it that worked at Letz's or worked at the bike shop and parked all day and plugged in all day, and I went and found them and said, you're welcome to park here for, the 2 hours it takes to charge your car, but then please move so
Yeah.
somebody else can use it. So it was just kind of communicating, and it seemed to.
But you
So-
shouldn't have to be the police for that either.
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm there. I'm not going to be mean about it. But I have no problem if we can think of a better
A better location.
configuration
I'm
for
happy with
it.
Okay,
Because I do think it was a good thing, and if we can figure out how
Yeah.
to make people pay for it, it'll still get used. I think it's important to have one.
yeah. So I think Dan has
Village
volunteered
post
to look into
office.
retrofit, and then, long-term, the idea is to put 2
Yeah.
paid chargers in the new lot that's
Yeah.
gonna be down there, so.
But I don't see a problem with even having another, once we finish that lot, why not
Yeah.
have one spot
Yep.
that takes 2, I don't know.
Yeah,
As long as it's not like, you can't park here, I don't know.
yeah.
I think it's important to support it. I mean,
All right, anything else on town hall before we move on? All right,
Thank you. guys.
next up here, the next two items in sequence have to do with the Communications Union District. So we still don't have a formal Communication Unions District person appointed. I think I have somebody who is this close to volunteering for that, so if we can table the appointment one more meeting, I think we'll be able to get that, if there's no objection. The next item, which is under new business, has to do with, essentially, on this side of the mountain, we've got Northwest Fiberworks, which is also the Communications Union District for this side of the hill. In the Northeast Kingdom, they've got a different communications union with a different MOU. So for our purposes tonight, we're going to talk about Northwest Fiberworks, that's this side of the hill, and NEKCV, which is the kingdom. So we were approached by both Northwest Fiberworks and NEKCV about a plan they have which involves bringing broadband cable to serve people on this side of the mountain through the Northeast Kingdom's Communication Union District. My understanding is the issue they ran into is that that district could not serve the Westfield addresses up in Alpine Haven, which they are essentially contracted to serve. And in trying to figure out how best to do this, they got with Northwest Fiberworks to say, hey, could we come up the 242 side, which would be in your territory. So they then put together a memorandum of understanding to basically outline what NEK, Communications Union District, is going to be doing in Northwest Fiberworks territory, and they are asking for the board to submit a letter of support. Practically what this means is that NEKCV is going to run fiber from Montgomery Center up Route 242 to Alpine Haven. So it will serve all the houses on 242 going up there. I believe it'll also serve Oberlin Valley. Their plan is to also serve part of Amadon Road and the Lower Ring Road. And the map they show also shows service going up Hazen's Notch Road, maybe a mile. So this is going to be bringing broadband fiber with installation on this side of the hill through NEKCV.
Did you say Amadon Road also?
The maps they're showing show parts of Amadon Road included in this. I'm not sure exactly why including Amadon Road makes sense, but basically it's going to serve 106 addresses within Montgomery, which are in the Northwest Fiberworks district in the FSA 0000013 area, and 40 addresses along Amadon Road, Lower Ring Road, and Fisher Road served off of 242. So 106 addresses on 242, and then 40 additional addresses on Amadon Road, Lower Ring Road, and Fisher Road are what will get connected through this. So they are asking for our support for them to come do this. We are technically part of Northwest Fiberworks, that's our communications union, so they want us to basically say, yeah, NEK can do their work here, we have no problem with that.
Then why can't the Fiberworks offer this service? Is it just delayed, or they're not interested, or?
I think it's, my understanding is it's one of those things where NEKCV wants to do it, has the capacities to do it, has the money to do it, and just needs our permission to do it. I think there's been some other things with Northwest Fiberworks which have slowed down things considerably. And I will say, through conversations that I've heard that are not formal conversations, there might be some movement to actually further expand NEKCV service in the community beyond just this. I don't know how far that's going to go, but that's the rationale behind it.
To the top of the list.
I mean, there was one individual in the community I heard who was trying to lobby to basically have us leave Northwest Fiberworks and join NEKCV. I don't know the details on that yet and how that might work, but people are looking into it.
Cool. So,
Tosca, yeah.
just a question, is this digging, or is this going on the poles? And is digging gonna interfere with the other digging?
I think this is poles.
I would, like, I can see a scenario in which the septic is being worked on up 242 and then they're gonna dig and be, I would think we might wanna coordinate, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like the digging, is it digging?
Is it fiber or is it cable or do we not?
It's,
It would be fiber.
it's fiber.
I know they were stringing stuff,
Is it-
and what were they stringing on our lines a couple years ago? They came through with big trucks and were stringing lines?
That was,
That was Comcast,
that was,
wasn't it?
that was Consolidated's fiber arm. That was like Consolidated's last attempt to basically capture as much of the market as they could cheaply.
Okay, so there's fake fiber.
Well, I don't know if it's fake or not.
I'm
but-
just curious, I mean,
Yeah,
again, is it timing wise,
That's a good
coordination
question, though.
of like, if we have a project going on, either they do it quickly.
yeah, I will ask them. I believe this is all overhead. I don't believe any of this is buried,
Well, they've been sinking a lot of fiber in Enosburg,
like burying it.
like in, you know, in, there, it's encased in,
A conduit.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
Okay.
underground.
I will clarify with them. My understanding was.
in Waterville and Belvedere.
Just
Yeah.
curious,
Yeah.
because, we got a lot going on, and when you got too many guys digging at the same time, the same place.
And when it says high-speed broadband,
My observation of work they did in the Eden and Lowell area was all overhead.
No, it was overhead.
Okay, well, I will clarify with them whether it's overhead or buried. I'll make a note to ask. But the action tonight would be, the letter of support's in front of everybody. It basically just expresses our support for this framework, under that program for, NEKCV to work in our project area, you know, as we just described.
So it don't have anything to do with the tower over here.
No.
No, that's cell phone
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
So I make a motion to support the NEK broadband's application for funding through the broadband equity access and deployment program. Is that?
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Dan. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries. With that, we go to
I got a
liquor.
question.
Oh, yeah.
What about the old building, the post office building? Are we gonna put that like out the bid to be torn down, or what's the process happening?
Yeah, so that's kind of rolling up into the whole streetscapes project. I'm trying to figure out exactly how much of what we can capture using other people's money besides our own. So we haven't officially kind of pegged it to going to bid to do it yet.
I just think the sooner we get it gone, the
Yeah.
better. I mean,
No, 100%,
because
yeah.
it's costing us money.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, the sooner the better. I think what Bethany and I are trying to figure out is like what parts of these projects can we roll into what funding agency, so that at the end of the day, we are,
Okay.
you know, if we move forward, we're spending as little money as possible as a community.
Okay.
Yep.
And then my next question is on this building.
Yep.
What's happening with?
Yeah, this is still going, Liz and
I know we
Aaron.
approved some engineers and stuff.
Yep. For the vault. They had a meeting with MERP, which is the Municipal Energy Resilience Program,
That's for the grant.
which is a grant. They had a meeting, I believe, or maybe they have a meeting scheduled for this week. But I will make a note to ask Liz.
Just like to have an update.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
because we've been dragging this out for,
Yeah, it's been a while.
Ever since.
and we had
10
approval.
Yeah.
So,
Trust me, I know that this has been one of
And-
those like.
we need to jump on grant money, because who knows?
Yep.
How long it's gonna be there.
I will
So-
put a note to ask for an update from the Reno committee.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, that's all I
Thanks, Mark. So we have liquor licenses and tobacco licenses tonight. The ones we've got tonight are Taste Like Another, which is the snowshoe. This is a first and third class license. And we have Lantern Holding LLC, which is a first, third, and outside consumption license. We can handle them as a slate. We can take them one by one, depends on what your pleasure is.
I would make a motion to approve them as a slate.
Okay, we have a motion from Leanne to approve the liquor licenses for Tastes Like Another and Lantern Holding LLC. Is there a second? We have a second from Dan. Thanks, Dan. Is there any discussion?
Lantern Holding, is that Black Lantern?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do I need to abstain from this because I work there?
You probably should,
Yeah.
just for the everything. So made and seconded. If there's no other discussion, we'll vote. All those in favor of approving the liquor licenses for Tastes Like Another and Lantern Holding LLC, please signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
One.
One abstention from Suzanne, and the motion carries. We have approved the liquor and tobacco licenses. We have a slate of fleet permits in front of us. Mark, you want to give those a quick look over?
So make a motion to approve the fleet permits for AmeriGas, Barrett Trucking, Structural Wood Corp., Chris Bullock, ST Rogers Transport LLC, Harrison Concrete, and Harrison Ready Mix, and then Camp Precast Concrete and John G. French and Sun Trucking.
Great, we have a motion from Mark to approve the fleet permits in the slate presented. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We'll give it to Dan. Second from Dan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of approving the slate of fleet permits presented, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries and you've approved the fleet permits. That brings us to the end of our agenda.
Question?
Yes, Larry, go ahead.
Yes, the Bullock, is he representing all of us sticks and stuff?
The one we've got from Bullock.
Or is that just the Enosburg store?
Chris Bullock, 44 Lower Newton Street, St. Albans. It's
up.
one vehicle at 69,000 feet. Oh, wait.
No, it's everything.
No, it's everything. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
all the vehicles are attached.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Any other business to be done? If not, a motion to adjourn would always be in order.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion to adjourn by Mark. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Leanne. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries and we stand in adjournment at 7:52. Good night, Larry.
Everybody.
Thanks,
Good
everybody.
night.
Hey, hi, Gabby.
Oh,